Let's do this!
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher.
Hey BJ Clean Team, it's Ryan. This is going to be a full review and breakdown of Top Gun Maverick with spoilers. And then stay to the very end of this video because I'm going to give you my thoughts on is Tom Cruise the last great movie star. But before we get going, if you would, just dominate that like button for me, and hey, maybe even subscribe. Every time you like and subscribe, a fighter pilot somewhere gets their wings. With that said, let's dive into Top Gun Maverick. So the movie starts out with Maverick testing the SR-72. He pushes it past Mach 10 and the thing breaks up mid-flight. Not going to be a good day to eject at Mach 10, but it's hilarious because Maverick survives the ejection and walks into a diner and gets a nice little glass of water. Now, there's some historical context here. Back in the day, outside of Nellis Air Force Base, an F-4 pilot ejected in the middle of nowhere, and all he saw when he landed was a bar, like a saloon. He walked in and just said, "I'll take whatever you got." They poured him Jeremiah weed, and now that's become the de facto drink for fighter pilots everywhere. And after the SR-72 incident, Maverick is brought to the Top Gun school where he's tasked to train a group of aviators to go in to a country and destroy their ability to make nuclear weapons. Now, a lot of people have said this is an Iran scenario, and actually it could be likely. Iran is a high desert plateau country surrounded by mountains. So the fact that this takes place in a mountainous environment could definitely mean Iran. I also did a lot of training with a North Korean scenario, and that's a very mountainous country as well. Obviously, they already have nuclear weapons, but this could also be keeping them from developing some sort of launcher for those weapons. And I know you're probably asking yourself right now, but Ryan, why didn't they use the F-35? I'm glad you asked. The reason they didn't use the F-35 mainly is because they actually wanted to pull G-forces and not use CGI throughout the film. Now, they maybe used a smidge of CGI, but the fact that they had actors in the back of F-18s with real G-forces and real speeds made this movie epic. Now, if they were to use the F-35, they would have to do a lot of CGI because there's only one-seater F-35s. There's a rumor that Israel may have possession of a few two-seater F-35s. I like to call those the unicorn. If anybody out there has a unicorn, let me know. Would love to take it for a spin. But as fighter pilots, this mission is really cool because it goes back to the basics. Now, if there was some sort of electromagnetic pulse or solar flare and you couldn't use GPS or some of the impressive technology that we possess, you would have to go back to the basics. And there's this thing that's called clock to map to ground when you're flying low levels. Literally, you have a clock, you time yourself, you have a map, you look at different features along the ground, and you see if you're on course. That goes back to the very basics, and that's what this mission is. It's going back to using things that we learned at the very beginning of pilot training, and I think all aviators can respect that because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily about the technology you have, it's about the pilots in the cockpit. Then Maverick is essentially fired from the mission, so he steals an F-18 and runs the course to prove that it can be done in a certain amount of time. And if it's done in that amount of time, they're going to have the ability to get out of the target area and survive without being shot down. Now, is this likely? Probably not, because you'd have to have so many people in on it to get that jet launched and to make sure the airspace was clear. More likely is Maverick would have convinced Admiral Warlock to convince Admiral Cyclone that he should be given the opportunity to lead this mission. And then Iceman makes an appearance in the film, and Iceman is kind of the admiral who, although he wants to get promoted and move ahead, and he's become a very high-ranking officer, he also sees the value that Maverick brings to the table as far as his flying skills and just the fact that people want to be around him. So they've become great friends, and I've definitely seen that happen on active duty. Big spoiler, Iceman ends up dying in the film, and then he leaves Admiral Cyclone as kind of the one that's in charge of Maverick, which is why Maverick has to steal that F-18. But before Iceman departs, he gives Maverick some incredible advice that the Navy needs him and Rooster needs him. Goose's son needs Maverick to step up and be the teacher that Maverick kind of is fighting and doesn't want to be. So I think it's really awesome that they bring Iceman back into the film to become the de facto mentor for Maverick. And then there's some drama between Rooster and Hangman. Rooster is Goose's son, and Rooster kind of throws some drama towards Hangman right at the beginning because Hangman's kind of that that edgy fighter pilot, maybe a little bit of a combination of Iceman and Maverick, but Rooster says something to him like, if you lead this mission, you're gonna get us all killed. And it's kind of like just this like downer. The entire room is like, whoa bro, are you okay? And what I saw in active duty is there's definitely that butting of heads, which is important and necessary, but if you can do it in a fun type of way, you kind of keep the energy high, you keep people from thinking you're a drama queen or drama king. So keep that in mind, you filthy animal. So Maverick and Rooster end up achieving this mission. They take out the nuke site, but then Maverick soaks up a missile for Rooster and is shot down. Maverick almost gets lit up by an enemy helicopter, but then Rooster rolls in, defying orders, and shoots down the helicopter and saves Maverick, but he's shot down in the process as well. At this point, a massive extraction operation would be put together with Air Force pararescue and other special operations forces leading the charge to get them out of there, but that wouldn't be as fun as Rooster and Maverick finding an F-14 fully gassed up, fully loaded with weapons, and stealing it. They end up taking off on a taxiway, which is possible, but I'll tell you, taking off in a heavyweight fighter is one of the scariest things you'll ever do. You need a lot of runway, and you need to make sure that you've got the ability to clear any obstacles at the end. So for me, as a fighter pilot, when they're taking off in the F-14 on a damaged taxiway, I'm like squirming in my seat like, oh boy, this is gonna be tight. And then the F-14 dogfights a Su-57, but I like the fact that they bring in the idea that the Su-57 thinks the F-14 is the good guys, and Maverick uses the element of surprise to shoot down one of the Su-57s. And honestly, that's probably one of the only ways that you would be able to take out one of those, and that's what he does. But again, it's not just the technology, it also involves the pilots in the cockpit. So the fact that he's shooting down Su-57s, although not completely realistic, not completely unrealistic either. And then Hangman rolls in at the very end and saves Rooster, and Maverick shoots down a Su-57. The Su-57 has a missile that it just launched, but Hangman's missile blows up the Su-57 and takes out that missile as well. Really cool to see that on the big screen. So in my opinion, if they make a Top Gun 3, since Maverick has grown up so much in this film, he'll basically get a battlefield promotion, he'll be an admiral, and he'll help lead a team of aviators in hypersonic aircraft to take down a country that is launching hypersonic weapons at another country. Alright, so you made it to the very end. I am a man of my word. Now you get the bonus. Is Tom Cruise the last great movie star? Well, he has proved that he is definitely one of them, but also the story of Top Gun Maverick. There's no political agenda, there's no BS, and it just shows that when you create an epic, iconic story, people listen. And the results that Top Gun Maverick is getting speaks for itself. It hit over $150 million in the first weekend, so not only are other actors taking note, like all the actors involved in Top Gun Maverick see that if you create a film and a movie without an agenda, people respond. So I think that's going to trickle down through all those actors, and as they continue to act in films and they become directors and producers, they're going to understand the value of not having an agenda and just telling an epic story. So Tom Cruise is essentially doing what you do in fighter weapons school or as an instructor in the Air Force or Navy, and that is to create more versions of yourself, because as fighter pilots, we know we're not always going to be up there raging around the skies. There's going to come a time where we have to hang up our boots and pass the torch on to the next generation. So Tom Cruise is essentially doing what they do in fighter weapons school for the entertainment industry, and he's passing on to everyone watching. If you tell a great story, if you don't have an agenda, you have the opportunity to become one of the last great actors. And Tom Cruise has certainly done that. Well done. Tip of the hat. So the future is bright, my friend. Thanks so much for watching. Before you go, please like, please subscribe. When you dominate that like button, a fighter pilot somewhere gets their wings. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video.